Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Black Health, a show that discusses topics in the community affecting our health. And today we are talking about a very interesting topic, emotional intelligence. And how does that differ from traditional intelligence, IQ? And with us today, we have Dr. Delvena Thomas.
Hi.
Dr. Thomas, Dr. Delvena, welcome back to Black Health. We love having you on the show. Thank you for joining us again. And today we're talking about emotional intelligence. When I started thinking about this topic, I was looking at something, watching something about emotional intelligence, and I said, this is a great topic for Black Health. And then I thought of you. And I think the reason I thought of you is because you strike me as somebody who is really grounded in emotional intelligence, who really has a handle on their personal emotional intelligence. So I strategically picked you for this topic, and I'm excited to talk about it with you today. So welcome to Black Health, everybody. I am Dr. Michelle Kirwan Bythwood, board certified pediatrician and chief medical officer of a federally qualified health center in Miami Gardens. And we have with us Dr. Delvena Thomas, board certified psychiatrist and board certified in neurology, trained at the University of Maryland. She has her own private practice in psychiatry and alternative mental health. And you are the author and producer of the Brain Love podcast. You have your books, Brain Brain Sleep and Brain Food on Amazon, and the co-host for MIA Media's Soul Show. Let's get started. What is emotional intelligence? And how does it differ from traditional IQ, traditional intelligence?
Well, hello, everyone. And hello, doctor. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Absolutely.
And you're right. Emotional intelligence is so near and dear to my heart because of how it can affect us in daily life and how I've seen so many relationships, business relationships, as well as personal relationships just fall apart because of folks not understanding, not acknowledging that emotional intelligence exists. We call it EQ for short, similar to IQ. So the emotional intelligence is our ability to recognize, understand, and also manage our own emotions. Pretty much that's what emotional intelligence, that's how we define it. It's your ability to manage your own emotions. To manage your own emotions, you have to be able to understand the environment, your surrounding environment, to understand the other people and understand how you and those other people affect one another and how your emotions can affect one another. So we recognize the influence of emotions of others when we have emotional intelligence. I find a lot of people who are not emotionally intelligent, they are lacking that. You mentioned what's the difference between EQ and IQ. The IQ is the intelligence quotient, whereas EQ is emotional intelligence. When we talk about someone's IQ, we're referring to basically their intelligence level. How smart are they? What is their cognitive acumen? And also their ability to execute problem solving.
So many people think of emotional intelligence as just, being kind, being nice. Can you break down some of the key components of emotional intelligence and how it's more than just being nice, being kind?
Oh gosh, it is so much more than just being nice.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence, as you say that, it makes me think. Emotional intelligence is knowing when you have to be something other than being nice and being kind. So it's balancing your emotions and knowing how to respond in a situation. There are different components to emotional intelligence. You want to be self aware. Being self aware is your ability to identify your own emotions and the impact that they have on others. We can all think of a situation where there was a heated conversation and maybe, some people may have walked away and said, perhaps if I would have responded differently, I would have received a different response from the other parties involved. Especially when we're dealing with loved ones or it's in a personal relationship, or as I said before, a work or business relationship. So self-awareness is important because you are reflecting basically on your own emotions and how it's affecting the people around you. If you're someone who's very dramatic, who overreacts, that's going to have an effect on the people around you. So the best leaders know in a time of a strained, challenging situation, you cannot fall apart. You cannot lose your cool because you are directing your staff. They're watching you. So self-awareness is one of those factors. Self-regulation. So the ability basically to manage your emotions and your behavior. So you're angry, but you cannot just start cursing and yelling, slamming doors. At least you should not. But I'm sure a lot of us have seen this. And unfortunately, some people have seen it in their homes growing up. A
Yeah.
mother who gets angry at the father and slams the door. Social awareness is also a part of EQ, emotional intelligence. It's our ability, as I mentioned earlier, to understand the emotions of others. And also, a key component of that is empathy, being able to understand another person and how they're feeling, and basically showing them grace, giving them extra consideration. And then another piece to emotional intelligence are social skills. Social skills are very critical. A lot of people lack social skills. What do I mean by social skills? Social skills, your ability to work with others, your ability to inspire others, your ability to maintain and build these healthy relationships and resolve conflicts. So that's where emotional intelligence becomes a much greater thing than just being nice.
Dr. Delvena, we do need to take a quick commercial break. You are watching Black Health, and today we are talking about emotional intelligence with Dr. Delvena Thomas. We will be right back.
When the last time you had a prostate screening?
I haven't done.
What about colonoscopy?
I've been thinking about it.
Oh,
I know I have to do it.
Come on, man. You know, we can't wait till something happens. We can't wait for nobody to do it for us. We got to do it ourselves.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so we got to make it a priority, man.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Full checkup once a year, and make sure you ask the doctors to get a PSA. And important, make sure you get that colonoscopy. You're 50 now, man. You got to get that done. Okay.
Is filled with dreams, talent, love. At the Children's Trust, we are dedicated to nurturing the potential of every child and family with hundreds of trust-funded programs. Find a program at thechildrenstrust.org.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters. Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Great seeing you all. We need to do this more often.
Will you be paying separately or together?
Oh, you can put it together.
No, give me a second.
Hold up, I got this. I'll get the reward points.
Well, I have early pay, so this time it's on me.
My AI insights say that I have room in my budget, so I'll pay.
Well, I got all that and more with the One Love card from One United Bank.
Wait, the One Love card?
Yes, with the One Love Visa debit card, I got a full suite of digital services from the nation's largest Black-owned bank.
Well, how do I get one?
It's easy. Just go to oneunited.com.
Okay. Kristen's got the One Love card and the check.
When it comes to banking, One United Bank is where I want to be.
Welcome back. You are watching Black Health. We are with Dr. Delvena today, and we are talking about emotional intelligence. Dr. Delvena, in your experience, do different cultures or different communities approach emotional intelligence differently?
You know, I think it's more so the idea is whether or not certain communities acknowledge it. So I don't find that it differs based on culture or race or ethnicity. I find that it really differs the most based on education and awareness. So if you are in a community or you're part of a group of people who don't understand and acknowledge that emotional intelligence exists, then you'll never know that it's something that you have to work on and you have to master, and that there's a need to have this contributing factor that's so important in life. You won't know that it's it's your responsibility to manage it, to learn it, to develop it. So it's not necessarily based on culture, but I would say it's based more on education level, probably socioeconomic type standards more so. Um, as I mentioned before, we have found that there's big differences in folks who are more educated or have higher intelligence rates than folks who are not. So I think that's the biggest factor when it comes to EQ.
You know, you make me think of something again. I thought of it earlier when you mentioned a higher IQ, and then you also mentioned doing well under stress. So I wonder if doctors have, you know, for the most part, a pretty decent IQ, and we have to learn how to handle stress, you know, in residency or even in medical school, and you're ripping and running, you're going to emergencies, you're defibrillating a patient. You know, we have to learn to handle stress. Do you think as a group we have, or do you see, or is there any difference with physicians?
So here comes the complicating factor, because mental health is so vast. Besides our emotional intelligence and whether or not there's some sort of disease or pathology state, there's also something called personality.
Yes.
So
yes.
Our personalities, and for people who have maladaptive traits, which is what personality disorders are based on, those folks struggle to exhibit sound emotional intelligence. So I think you and I can agree, as physicians, the specialty who has been regarded the most as most difficult, jerks, self-entitled would be surgeons.
Yeah.
And as a group, these people have certain personality traits, which kind of, there's traits that they share, and these traits are probably what influences them to select their career as a surgeon. Because these are people who are not typically very social, only their opinion matters. Sometimes they assert themselves as omniscient. So, you know, personality comes into play also, not just your EQ, when we talk about how a certain subset or population of people exhibit emotional intelligence. Personality, maladaptive traits will influence that.
Yeah, because we definitely hear and talk about bedside manner, and sometimes doctors don't have that.
Right.
What age do we start developing EQ, and what role do our parents and caregivers play in the development of it?
Oh man, such a vital role. And it starts from the time that your child begins to talk and interact with you. So it starts early, teaching them how to manage stress. Children get stressed too. Some parents will say that, you know, their kid they have some kind of sporting competition and they lose, and their kid loses their stuff on the field or on the court. That is an opportunity to teach your child about emotional intelligence. Your child having a disagreement with their sibling is a moment to teach about emotional intelligence. You and your child talking to one another is another moment. And when I say to teach them, it doesn't mean directly define it and all these things, but it just means to help them manage their emotions as they're managing a situation. I think, and sometimes some of our children, they may be born with certain personality traits or a certain demeanor, and they may seem to succeed better in situations that require basically sort of a better understanding of their emotional intelligence. I'll use my son as an example. My son, his demeanor has always been to be a very laid back person. He is so laid back, it seems like nothing bothers him. He is unbothered. Sometimes I'm like, you are just way too laid back. So that may come across for him as having a high EQ. And trying to teach him also, as he was developing, how to deal in certain situations, and teaching him that some things really just don't matter. You just have to kind of ignore them, if you will. So teaching your child early is important when it comes to emotional intelligence, because if you just leave them to their vices to handle stress and emotion on their own, they won't know what to do. And sometimes it develops into very bad habits or unhealthy ways of dealing with stress.
How does social media affect this, and how do parents navigate social media and teaching their children about emotional intelligence? Because that's an area where people's behavior, children, adults, is just not always what we want to see. Not always good.
You can see a lot of undesirable stuff on social media.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But social media gives you the perfect opportunity to work with your child on their emotions and how they respond to what they see on social media. I am a supporter of not giving children cell phones until they are in high school, because I just don't believe a kid in elementary school or in junior high school can manage that. We're talking about emotional intelligence. Imagine children having cell phones and access to unlimited information in elementary school, and they haven't even learned how to develop emotional intelligence. And this is how having unlimited access to smartphones and social media and all this stuff out on the World Wide Web is such a deterrent for these children and their development, and just insert so many challenges for our babies, because they're doing things that they're not ready for, that they haven't developed the acumen to handle.
Talk to us a little bit about a child's ability to succeed academically and socially. I know you've talked about the importance of it and the parents teaching, but just touch on how a strong emotional intelligence helps them academically and socially.
Well, academically, it will help them when managing their response to disappointment. So let's say that they're used to getting all A's, and now they're in a challenging class and they get a B. Emotional intelligence will help you to understand what's appropriate. It's not appropriate to go into the teacher's office and accuse them of not grading you fairly, right? Socially, emotional intelligence helps you in a situation where there may be peer pressure, or they may be around other children and they may be suspecting that another child is talking about them. Emotional intelligence helps us to process the surrounding environment. So there's a lot of opportunity for emotional intelligence to help our children socially or at school. And again, we want to foster education and foster learning and reading. And so parents should continue. I know everything is digital now, but parents need to teach their children about reading and becoming intelligent, enhancing their cognitive abilities, because it is a protective factor in developing that emotional intelligence.
Dr. Delvena, we need to take a quick break. We are talking about emotional intelligence on Black Health. We're going to a quick commercial and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
When the last time you had a prostate screening?
I haven't done it.
What about colonoscopy?
I've been thinking about it. I know I have to do it.
Come on, man. You know, we can't wait till something happens. We can't wait for nobody to do it for us. We got to do it ourselves.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so we got to make it a priority, man.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Full checkup once a year, and make sure you ask the doctors to get a PSA. And important, make sure you get that colonoscopy. You're 50 now, man. You got to get that done. Okay.
With dreams, talent, love. At the Children's Trust, we are dedicated to nurturing the potential of every child and family with hundreds of trust-funded programs. Find a program at thechildrenstrust.org.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family. Our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters. Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. The Mesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Great seeing you all. We need to do this more often.
Will you be paying separately or together?
Oh, you can put it together.
Oh, no, give me a second.
Hold up, I got this. I'll get the reward points.
Well, I have early pay, so this time it's on me.
My AI insights say that I have room in my budget, so I'll pay.
Well, I got all that and more with the One Love card from One United Bank.
Wait, the One Love card?
Yes, with the One Love Visa debit card, I got a full suite of digital services from the nation's largest Black-owned bank.
Well, how do I get one?
It's easy. Just go to oneunited.com.
Okay. Kristen's got the One Love card and the check.
When it comes to banking, One United Bank is where I want to be.
Welcome back to Black Health. We're discussing emotional intelligence. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Kirwan Bythwood, and we are with Dr. Delvena Thomas, board-certified psychiatrist. Dr. Thomas, so we've talked a lot about what emotional intelligence is, how we develop it, how our parents play a role in the development of our EQ. What can we do to improve it for those that struggle with emotional intelligence, or maybe they didn't have that good example? You talked about kids not going and yelling at the teacher or telling the coach, the soccer coach, and not telling the teacher, you graded my paper wrong. Parents may have gone and yelled at the coach and told the teacher, you've been being unfair to my child. And they may not have set that example. So for those who didn't have that example or struggle with EQ, what can we do? What can they do?
Yeah. So starting at a young age, we can teach out. I'll start with how to teach your children. But if you have little kids, teach them how to name their emotions. Teach them that it's okay to feel these different emotions, that we don't just feel one way all of the time. Have them name their emotions. Ask them, how are they feeling? Help them to process what they're feeling. Help them in responding in situations. Take a moment to name those feelings and the temper and the reactivity that comes. So you basically help your child to process what they're feeling. If you don't have any children and it's you and you're working on your own emotions, you can do the same thing to stop and recognize your emotions, be in the moment. Also, one thing that people forget about a lot of times, because we're in this digital world, is reading a book. Read. I used to love to read as a kid. Every summer, elementary school, we had these challenges. How many books can you read during the summer? Reading really teaches you a lot of empathy because you're reading stories from another person's perspective. And one of those factors, as I mentioned earlier, in building emotional intelligence is the ability to have empathy. And reading books, fiction, nonfiction, more so fiction, helps you to develop empathy so that you can gain insight. And also not to downplay nonfiction, but that as well, because it's usually a story about a person and their struggles and how they overcame. And, so reading, naming your emotions, and also asking people for feedback. I say a lot of times to my friends, if we're in a situation like, hey, what do you think about what happened? What do you think could have been done differently? Did I overreact? Or sometimes I'll ask my colleagues, if we're in a situation or we're in a meeting, we'll give one another feedback on how we interacted or how we responded to a situation. Emotional intelligence is not going anywhere. If emotional intelligence is negated, we will be basically robots. We will be robots. Human beings have emotions and we express them. The main factor here is how you express yourself. How are you expressing yourself? So emotional intelligence is not getting upset easily when something happens. It's not being misunderstood. A lot of people who don't have emotional intelligence deflect a lot. They blame others. They feel they're being misunderstood. They're overwhelmed by their emotions. And they also have problems being assertive, asking for help, asking for that feedback. So yeah, with AI and all this digital stuff, it'll still be here. It'll just manifest in a different way.
I think one thing people need to learn to do, and you might agree with this as a psychiatrist, is learn what their triggers are and look out for those triggers. Be aware of what pushes your buttons. If you know what pushes your buttons, you can try to avoid some of those situations, or at least you can be mindful when it happens. I know that this triggers me. And I know that this upsets me. And I think people need to learn to say, I need a moment. I need to step away for a second, or I need to have this conversation later, or like you said, put a word to their feelings. Like this is making me angry, or this is bothering me, or this is upsetting me. And I need to step away right now, and really start to learn what your triggers are, learn how to walk away from a situation, and then learn why you're triggered by something. So I'm now starting to try to do that. I'm in a situation and I can feel the blood rising in me and I'm like starting to boil. And I've learned to say, okay, let me walk away. One, let me not say a word and I need a moment, walk away. And then I really now try to sit and think, why is that bothering me so much? What is it that upsets me so much about that? And you'd be surprised that some of that goes back to like childhood, a childhood experience where somebody, broke your trust or something. So I think that's, what would you say about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Emotional intelligence is knowing that you must remain calm and composed during stressful situations. And if you feel that that is being compromised, walking away walking away and asking the other party, hey, just give me a little bit of time. Just give me some time. We can circle back to this, but just give me a moment. Being able to handle difficult people with tact, having some diplomacy, that is emotional intelligence. I want to debunk the myth that clicking on someone or getting out the gate on someone is a wise thing to do. It is not. Being able to manage yourself so that you don't react or respond in an unprofessional manner, that's where you need to be. That's the space we all have to be in.
Awesome. Well, we have come to the end of our show, Dr. Delvena. Thank you once again, for being on Black Health. We love having you, and I know you will be back again. And for those of you that are watching, we thank you for watching and supporting Black Health. You can follow me at Black Health Show on IG. Dr. Thomas, where do they find you?
At Dr. Delvena on IG, Facebook, YouTube, Dr. Delvena Thomas.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you next time on Black Health. Take care.